Hello and welcome to the Fedora Files. I'm Gregory Fedora. With me today is Jesse Straight, the owner of Wiffletree Farms. So, Jesse, how did you get into farming? Was this something you'd always wanted to do, or did it come later in life? Like, when did you decide I wanted to be a farmer, and how did that all come about?
So I was not raised on a farm, and I was raised sort of in the rural suburbs and had no interest in farming. And went to college, studied religious studies in pre-med, had no thought of becoming a farmer in college, did not study agriculture in college. And it was only after college, mainly sort of initiated by reading one of Wendell Berry's short novels that kind of got me going down a certain path. And I just kept going down that path and learning more and more about farming and meeting farmers and starting little enterprises. And yeah, just eventually, worked my way to where we are.
So that's a vast difference going from pre-med and religious studies to suddenly I'm farming. So how did you, because I mean, farming's not easy. And then like deciding what kind of farming, because there's many different kinds of farming you could decide on. How did you decide what kind of farming you were going to get into? Was it like going to be livestock, or like you said, agricultural farming, or there's all kinds, but how did you decide where you were going to go? And then how did you learn it? Because it's not something you can just be like, okay, I'm going to buy some cows, it's going to work. Like, how did you
Yeah.
learn to do that?
Yeah. So my first foray, I did an organic vegetable CSA, and I just read books, talked to other farmers, and started on a small scale where I wasn't taking a big risk and wasn't going to be overwhelmed. I had no idea what I was doing, and I made all kinds of mistakes. But then eventually, I found this farmer Joel Saladin, who's the farmer at Polyface Farm in Stanton, Virginia, and he, both in books and communication, just has done a really great job of uh, presenting both a farming model and a business model, maybe in particular for people like myself who don't have a background. And he really showed a path where, both a compelling farming model where it's one that I would be proud of in terms of, healthy for the land and the animals and the eaters, and beautiful, and also a viable business model where it wasn't totally irresponsible of me in terms of taking care of my family to give it a shot. So I would say that a lot of different farmers along the way have sort of shown me the path, but more than any, especially at the beginning, Joel Saladin at Polyface Farm was very much the mentor that sort of allowed for this to happen.
Okay, so you moved from like an organic. I've been to your farm, so I've seen it, and it's amazing, and it really is a beautiful farm. I loved everything about it when I was there, and I even love the bacon and the turkeys we've gotten from you. They're phenomenal.
Great.
Um, so how you went from an organic, and then did you slowly move into livestock, or was it kind of like you're like, okay, we're going for it? Like, how did you grow from like what did you decide first, like what animals to bring in, and then
Sure.
go from there?
Yeah. So we started out with meat chickens, and we just had a batch of 50 meat chickens, and kind of learned how to take care of them and learned how to slaughter and process them. Made mistakes, but again, it wasn't a huge number that was going to be too risky. And then just build up our familiarity and our skills. Did more meat chickens, then got laying hens, then got turkeys, then got pigs, then got cattle. And so, I think I went towards livestock because I like animals, and I like the kind of work that's involved with taking care of animals. I think more so than I would say vegetables. I think I prefer to eat meat, and I prefer the kind of work that animals have, require. So, and then probably maybe even more than any of that, to be totally honest, is again having a farm and a business model laid out for me on the livestock side via Joel Saladin. That was like, okay, well, I clearly don't know what I'm doing, and I need a path, and here's a really compelling path Um, so it could have been a different story if the equivalent of a Joel Salatin came along with vegetables for me. I say that, but I kind of don't believe that, because honestly, I really do like working with animals, and I like that kind of work better than stooping over vegetables. And I think my body was built more for working with animals than crouching along vegetable rows. Yeah, I think all those reasons.
As a yeah, I would think for me, I've tried to do a vegetable garden. And it's I fail miserably time and time again, just because there's so many things. I don't know if I'd probably fail with livestock as well, because I wouldn't know what I was doing. But I think that for me, in my mind, vegetables might be a little bit more risky because you've got to think of like pestilence and watering and sun. But I guess you still have to think of those things with livestock as well. There are things out there that,
Mm,
but so I read that you're now Wiffletree. It's 12 years old. You're celebrating 12 years at running
that's right.
Wiffletree. So
Yeah,
when when you started building, uh, did you start like I guess not advertising, or how did you go out and get people to realize, hey, come to us, get your eggs and chicken and steaks and whatever from us, as opposed to a grocery store? Because I know there's
yeah,
people out there. I've seen the memes where they don't even understand that farmers are the ones who bring this to them. They think it just shows up. But how did
yeah.
you get them to understand, come to us? And do you also like send it out to like people? Can people get it delivered or
Mhm.
whatever?
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I would say, starting out, it was just friends and family. Like, hey, everyone, we're going to do this thing, and we're going to raise this really great food, and please try us out. And so, just your immediate, my immediate connections in terms of friends and family, just word of mouth. And thankfully, we weren't starting with thousands of chickens at the time. We're starting with 100. So it kind of matched, and then just word of mouth growth, and then I would make myself available to speak in front of any group that wanted to hear about the benefits of regenerative or sustainable farming. So that way, and email marketing, social media, just low budget, simple, kind of just get the word out there tactics. But essentially, our job is just to find the people who would be want to find us. So there's not, most people out there don't are completely content with buying at the grocery store. But there are some people out there who understand the benefits to themselves and to the land and the animals of our model of farming. And we just need to let them know, hey, we're over here, come
Mhm.
get it from us. Yeah, all those have been the ways through the years in terms of word of mouth, speaking, um, social media, email marketing, but nothing too fancy.
Okay. Well, so if someone like, I know you're in like DC, Virginia, Maryland area, so
Yeah,
that's basically your clientele. Do you ever like? I know there's farms out there that freeze stuff and ship it. Is that something you're ever going to look into, where you could send stuff across the country? If someone in California saw this, it's like, I'd like to try his turkeys. Like, is that somewhere down the road you're looking to expand your business model
yeah.
that way?
So currently the ways we sell food is the store and the farm. We also sell through something we call neighborhood deliveries, where people order on our website, pay on our website. We have a host family in a given neighborhood. We'll drop coolers, and then the people will go after work, say from 3 to 7 p.m., and grab their food out of the cooler. So that's that. And then we also sell to wholesale customers, restaurants, butchers, places like that, that are all in the region. And those that our region is pretty much, um, suburban Maryland, DC, Northern Virginia, around us in Fauquier County, and then down into Central Virginia, Charlottesville, Richmond, Fredericksburg. Um, so that's where we go currently. We have looked into shipping. It's something that we started to look into before COVID, and then COVID kind of just like was craziness, and so we kind of shelved that for the time being. But I kind of think that for a number of reasons, I would be more, if I were to sort of add a sales outlet at this point, I would be more inclined to sort of add a home delivery a proper home delivery before I added in our region before I added shipping. Shipping just, shipping a perishable item is complicated and adds a lot of cost. Essentially, adds a lot of cost to the buyer, and it also goes against a little bit what one of our missions, which is wanting people to support their local farmer.
Gotcha.
So,
Yes.
for all those reasons, I think I'm not so excited about going into shipping, but maybe more so home delivery before too long.
No, that'd be amazing. What
Yeah,
now? If somebody's listening to this and like they hear you and they're like, "Wow, I'd really like to try to do what Jesse's doing." What do you offer any kind of programs where you take someone under your wing and kind of teach them, kind of like you said? Was it Joel taught
yeah,
you? Like, do you do anything like that at Wiffletree where you
yeah.
help people learn?
Yeah, we have a 4 month long internship, and people come, have housing, have a stipend, and essentially get to learn um, everything we do. Certainly everything in the field, and to some degree also some of the business side. We try and open things up to them in that way as well. And it's something that I wish I had done. I was married and we had a baby at the time, so it wasn't really a great option for us. And I know that I, in a sense, unnecessarily went through mistakes I shouldn't have had to gone through if I'd, had been able to do an internship, that were both financially costly, emotionally costly. So, the real benefit of the internship is just to cheat the learning curve. Spend 4 months, very low risk, and get to sort of just cheat ahead on the learning curve so that when you go to start your own business, you don't have to make all the mistakes that we've made and all the lessons we've learned. And also, you don't have to spend a bunch of money to see what a full-time farming business looks like. You don't have to buy all that equipment, all those animals, and get all that set up. So it's a good thing for both people who are dead set on, they got their 5-year plan for when they're gonna, start their own farm enterprise. And it's also good for people who are considering it as a pathway, because it's very low risk where they can kind of see, how does this feel? How do I like the work? Is this a lifestyle I'd want? I highly recommend it. And like I said, if I could go back in time, I would certainly have spent a significant amount of time interning with farmers that I really respected and admired. And I would say that's the real thing, is that if you're looking for an internship, make sure you find a place where the farm practices are compelling, that you really believe in the way the farming is done, and then also that it's a very viable business. There's lots of places out there that are nonprofits and they're doing good things, or it's just sort of maybe a wealthy person who's doing something fun on the side, or it's very, the business is propped up by an off farm income. But for most of us, we have to make a living, and so you want to learn from someone who's making a living, because otherwise it just doesn't work. So
Mhm.
I would say those are my two suggestions: is find a place where the farming practices are really compelling for you, and really try and get clear that this is an actual viable business that's profitable, so that you're going to learn from someone who's doing it a way that's actually sustainable.
Okay, yeah. So if they wanted to find out more about from you, is there a way that like what how would they contact you to find out, like, maybe if you
Sure.
have openings in the internship, or they can maybe even ask you a question, like, to find out if your practices are what they're thinking of? Where would
Sure.
they go?
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, there's a page on our website for people who are interested in internships. So, and there's contact information there to get an application. So that would be the answer there. And then in terms of farming practices, likewise, we have our farming practices on our website, and YouTube videos and social media that would make our farming practices very transparent. And of course, anyone's always welcome to come to the farm and walk around, see the animals. Transparency is a big principle for us, that we want people to be able to see. We don't hide anything; everything's out in the open, and that's a distinction that we want to highlight.
Oh, nice. Now, you used to do a little, like, a festival kind of thing. Because I've gone to that. Are you planning to bring that back now that the pandemic seems to be going away? Will you be
Yeah.
doing that again anytime soon because I want to come.
That's great. Yeah, our spring squawker. Yeah, I love doing that. I love like gathering people and food and drink and music and just seeing people have fun and enjoying the beauty of the farm. Um, so that's definitely something that I want to bring back. Maybe it's something we could think about for this fall, or maybe we'll have to think about for the spring of next year. But we are starting to think about doing some, maybe not such large events, but maybe some farm tours, maybe some workshops, in terms of learning how to say raise meat chickens or process meat chickens, or so more and more people, especially post COVID, are interested in even if it's just sort of backyard homesteading.
Mhm.
And so we've gotten a lot of inquiries, along that route where we could maybe educate people and things that they're more excited about these days.
Yes, that'd be amazing. I know I had a friend of mine who did intern with you. I think twice,
Hmm.
if I'm right, and he still is debating getting into it, and
Yeah.
he'll probably end up coming intern with you again sometime because he
Yeah.
found it fascinating, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
No,
loved
we
it
enjoyed
because
it.
he would bring home turkeys to us and different things to fry up, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
definitely is way better than the things you do get at a grocery store, like from
Yeah. Yeah.
Tyson's or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
it tastes way better, and it probably is because of how you are raising the animals.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like of course, you can look at laboratory studies and see like the nutrient difference, and they're significant. Um, but I think just common sense wise, if you come and see our chickens on fresh, clean pasture, eating grass and bugs, not mucking around their manure, in the sunshine and fresh air, and then you go and compare that side by side when you walk into a confined chicken house on a concrete slab, and there's manure everywhere, and the birds are crowded, and there's no fresh air, and the air smells like ammonia and dust
Yeah,
and fecal matter. Like it doesn't, it's just common sense that of course the health and taste of that meat is going to be reflected in how the animal's life is.
yes. I mean, what you put in is what you're going to get out. And so if you're
Yeah.
putting garbage in your body, it's not going to create
Yeah.
as healthy a person as you are. And
Yeah.
I think with this world, the pandemic may have also bring people's mindsets to eating healthier, and
Yeah.
farming, coming to farms like yours is something that people are going to really be like, I probably should be doing that, and not all this processed stuff, because
Yeah.
I don't want to be like on the wrong end of the next pandemic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think our economy has been based on convenience and inexpensiveness as the top priorities, and that of course means you have like a vulnerable supply chain when you're trying to have as inexpensive as possible, and a distant supply chain. So yeah, I think I'm hoping that the pandemic has just inched up in terms of the priorities, people's priorities of stability and health,
yes,
a little bit higher than they were in relation to convenience and cheapness.
I think because I've known quite a few people who during the pandemic suddenly were not eating the Cheetos, and like they were like looking for organic everything, and they're like
Yeah.
trying to get ahead and were worried, and they lost weight and they got really healthy, and I'm hoping that they continue that because they look a whole lot better than they did a year ago. And I mean,
Right.
I encourage them to like, yeah, keep up because you don't know what's going to happen
Right.
tomorrow, and another thing could happen, and you want to be as healthy as you can. So, but
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming on. I know you're very busy because you are running a
Yeah.
farm, and I know that farmers are always on because you've got to always be ready to take care of things. So I thank
Yeah.
you again for coming on and sharing with us. And the website to yours is it's whiffletree.com. Is that correct?
It's wiffletreefarmva.com.
All right, whiffletreefarmva.com. All right.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'll be sure to
Yeah.
have that in the link that they can click on it and go and
That's great.
check
Yeah.
out
Well,
your
thanks.
farm.
Thank you for having me on, and your interest. And I hope that you and your audience learn something from this, and I appreciate your interest in it.
Okay, so now I will definitely, when you have your next squawker, you must tell me because I want to be there. But I think
That's
I'll know
great.
because I follow you on all your social media, so I'll know about it, and I will be there
Okay.
for sure.
Awesome.
So
Great.
thank
I'll
you
count on
again.
it. Yeah.
All right. It was
Awesome.
great
See you
seeing you.
later.
All right. See ya.
Bye
Have a
now.
good day.